To the very first part of tissue and its function, we have just seen the type of the tissues like an epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. So its basic functions of epithelial tissue is protection, secretion, absorption, excretion, and basically it lines all the smooth muscles within our body, basically that is viscera part. So connective tissue is very important for providing a framework to the body, and it involves bones as well as the fluid connective tissue like and blood. So muscular tissue involves basically the three types of the muscle, but the very important functions of the muscular system is for the movement. And nervous tissue, it is responsible for transporting of the nerve impulses throughout the body, which enables the endocrine system to release the various hormones. So now tissues and its function part 2. We already had just seen the functions of epithelial tissue as protection, secretion, absorption, excretion and the sensory perception. What are the types of epithelial tissue? Epithelial tissue consists of simple squamous epithelial tissue, simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, simple columnar epithelial tissue, stratified squamous epithelial tissue, stratified cuboidal epithelial tissues, stratified columnar epithelial tissue and transitional epithelial tissue. So the type of the tissue is depends upon its size and shape. Like you seen the shape here, the columnar epithelial tissue is and shape like an column. Ciliated epithelial tissue, just like the columnar epithelial, it is having the cilia on its surface. And squamous epithelium, you can see the columns are tightly packed with each other. Cuboidal epithelium is bit and flattened type of the tissue. The next connective tissue, the tissue originates from embryonic tissue called mesenchyme. It is most diverse and abundant type of the tissue. Cells separated from one another by a large amount of non-living extracellular matrix. General characteristics of the connective tissue. Connective tissue binds, supports, protects and serves as a framework, as well as is fill spaces, as well as store fats, produces blood cells, protect against infection and repair tissue damage. Unlike epithelial tissue, connective tissues have an abundance of extracellular matrix or intercellular material throughout and have good blood supply. What are the functions of connective tissue? The main function of connective tissue is to protect, support and bind together with other tissues, example bones, ligaments and tendons. Loose connective tissue includes areolar, adipose and reticular connective tissues. Dense connective tissues include tendons and ligament. So what we have just learned over here is connective tissue is a very important kind of an tissue. Most of the times questions had been asked on this topic, basically on bones as well as the properties of the blood.